Everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel NEET YUG. In this particular video session, we'll be discussing about cellular organization and consciousness. This thing, the cell is the basic unit of life, and all living organisms are made up of cells. And cellular organization is the basic unit which ascends from simpler to complex form, that is unicellular level to a multicellular level. Correct. So first let us understand what is exactly this is. Obviously you know that this is a cell, and you could see the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, mitochondria, chloroplast, normally seen in plants. Okay, and you could see that I have drawn I have used a green color actually. So this green color means whatever the component which is present within this green color line is the protoplasm. Protoplasm in the sense nucleus, and the liquid, that is the cytoplasm, where the cell organelles will be floating. Whereas I have used orange color, that is the cell wall. Normally you see the cell wall in fungi, bacteria and plants, whereas in animal cells this orange thing, the cell wall, is completely absent. You know that. Okay, so what exactly you call this kind of like a protoplasm? What is exactly protoplasm? Which is the living material of the cell. Even though cell is a living, but even in the cell you could see cell wall and the protoplasm. So cell wall is a non-living thing, whereas the whatever you see, the protoplasm is a living thing. So non-living thing, that is cell wall, is actually called as, I'll just write here, apoplasmic material. So that means cell wall is a non-living material and it is called as apoplasmic material, whereas the protoplasm is the living material of the cell and you call it as symplasmic material. Okay, symplasmic material. And I just want to give you one information that the protoplasm was discovered, is discovered by a scientist called as Dujardin. Remember, protoplasm is discovered by Dujardin. Okay, so now I have written here, I am your starting point. Obviously, cell, without cell we cannot exist, correct? Okay, see, all organisms have similar component within their cell, but their expression is different. That's what make them a different species, correct? So you know that in unicellular organism, that is single celled organism, obviously the one cell will take care of all the functions starting from digestion to excretion, correct? In multicellular organisms like us, in humans, that heart is an organ, whereas it's only for pumping of the blood, and it transport blood to different parts of the body actually, correct? For example, if you see a delicious food, and through that through your eyes, obviously the eyes only see the food, and the brain stimulates our salivary glands for salivation, correct? When you see the food, automatically the salivation takes place, correct? Okay, so now let us see about the cellular organization. Obviously whatever the component which is present in the cell starts from a subatomic level, which is the smallest thing ever. Okay, so that makes many subatomic particles makes one atom. Okay, many atoms obviously make the micromolecules. So micromolecular level, for example, see, glucose, amino acids and nitrogenous bases like adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, uracil, all these things are micromolecules, okay, which are made up of atoms. And these micromolecules again they form a bigger molecules like the macromolecules, for example nucleic acid, that is DNA, RNA, or it could be the organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, etc. within a cell actually, correct? And then the macromolecules ultimately form a cell. This is the basic unit of life actually. So many cells they cluster together, and they work a particular function. They just they perform a particular function ultimately, which is called as a tissue. See, formation of the tissue from the cell is actually called as histogenesis. Okay, so and these tissues ultimately form organs, or formation of the organ from the tissue is actually called as organogenesis. Okay, and then organs ultimately form organ system. Normally you could see in higher animals, and ultimately organ system form an complete organism. That's what actually cellular organization. So let us talk about another concept, that is consciousness. All living organisms react to external stimuli, and they can sense their surroundings and respond to it, and this is called as consciousness. For example, migration birds, tiger kills its prey, photoperiodism and phototropism in plants. See, normally you know that to escape from external environmental factor, to escape from stressful condition, the birds, they migrate. That means they move from one place to other place. It's like they travel for about more than 1,000 kilometers. You know that is actually migration in birds, because they could sense their surroundings. If that surrounding is not safe, obviously they don't want to be there. Actually, they just want to move it to other place where they feel comfortable. Whereas when a tiger see its prey, obviously it's going to kill it. So this is actually how the tiger sense. Obviously the tiger know that the prey is its food, correct? Whereas photoperiodism, this is normally seen in plants. For flowering, this is amazing. For flowering, they need to expose themselves to a particular duration of sunlight. Then only they can flower. This is called as photoperiodism. So it's also a type of kind of like the response by the plants to the external environmental factors. Whereas phototropism, you might have seen it in sunflower, where the sunflower plant actually moves according to the movement of the sunlight. So that is phototropism. And then the bacteria reacts to chemical. Here I just want to give you a very good example. See, our eyes are not protected, correct, when compared to our other body parts. Actually, see, the eye produces a type of liquid, we call it as tear, which contains a lysozyme enzyme, which is actually antibacterial, which is going to kill the bacteria. That means the bacteria also respond to this kind of chemical, right? Sometimes the chemicals are good for the bacteria, sometimes the chemicals are bad for the bacteria. So the bacteria can sense what kind of chemical it's going to face. Okay, so that is also a kind of response to the external stimuli. So that is seen in unicellular organisms. And then obviously we all have sense organs like eyes, whereas we can smell and we can hear. Yes, we can feel, the touch, everything, right? Because of the sense organ. Because of the sense organ, we can feel our surroundings, we can sense what's happening around us, correct? And then see, the plants obviously they also respond to the external factors like wind, temperature, or maybe sunlight, water, everything, because they have PGRs, plant growth regulators. It's like nothing but hormones. What like we also have hormones, right? The plants also have chemicals which are called as the PGRs, and which helps the plant to respond to the external environmental factors actually. And then I just want to add here, like, the humans are the only organism which we have self-consciousness. Whereas recent study indicates that the chimpanzees also exhibit self-consciousness. What is exactly consciousness and self-consciousness? Consciousness mean in the sense like any kind of organism respond to external environmental factors. It's like they react and respond, right? Whereas self-consciousness in the sense, for example, whenever you stand in front of the mirror, and how do you feel when you see your reflection? Correct. You don't feel anything. You know that you are exist. Whereas if you just keep that mirror in front of your pet, it could be dog or cat. They, after seeing the mirror image or reflection, they think that the animal which is there in the mirror, as if like they belong to they are different animal of the same species, and they may respond to it. It could be like they bark, correct? So it's a kind of weird response. That means they don't know that they exist. So they don't have self-consciousness. Obviously we have self-consciousness, right? I have written few points here. That's what actually we are very much kind of like blessed, correct? We have self-consciousness. When you think about death, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like sweating, or like you feel very uncomfortable, right? Correct? Yes, that is actually self-consciousness. And here, a person who is lying in bed for like several years, who is in coma, what do you call that person? Whether he is living or dead? whatever it is, see, the consciousness is actually a well-defined property, and because all the living organisms starting from unicellular to multicellular, we actually respond to external stimuli. It could be physical, chemical or biological, correct? So metabolism, cellular organization and consciousness are the three well-defined properties of life, whereas growth and reproduction are not a well-defined property of life.